So, I've been looking at quite a few of Robert Moore's lectures recently, and it's one of those things that's really captured my interest. The idea that all human beings are aggressive. All human beings have the capacity for aggression, and it's a healthy, natural, and normal thing to have, especially if you're a man. Like a lot of man and male-centered thinking, history, culture, identity has been revolved around war. This idea of martial prowess, this ability of man to be determined in the face of all adversities and accomplish his wildest dreams and change the world. It's something that as human beings we venerated in men. We've even worshipped it. We've created gods around it. Astaghfirullah, I'm a Muslim, obviously. I believe in the one true God. But we've created these semi-deities of war. You know, the god of war, the god of Mars, the god of war. And like, what we've done in the modern society is, because we're so safe, because everything's so taken care of, because everything's so, saturated, I suppose, and sanitized, and it's all kind of well defined, the capacity or the need for aggression has kind of gone down a little bit, right? Not entirely, because we still have warriors who need to man the frontiers. They need to be in the army or in the police force or in the prisons or whatever. But in the average human, in the average man, the average male, the capacity or the need for aggression has gone way lower. And the thing is, what it does is, the negatives are, well, there's a lot of positives. There's a lot less fighting, generally speaking. Generally speaking, there's a lot less crime. Generally speaking, there's a lot less social discontent. But on the flip side, there's actually more negatives than repressing this. There's more negatives from repressing this aggression than there are positives. One of the main negatives is a disordered psyche. The male psyche is founded upon his ability to be capable of aggression. Mark my words, but not for evil, right? Like, don't mistake the word aggression for evil, because to be good at your job, you need to be aggressive. You need to be competent, you need to be decisive, you need to have that drive, energy behind what you're doing. I used to think that energy, that aggressive energy, I used to think that was evil, because that's how I was raised. I was raised to think that to be decisive, to be competent, not competent, but to be decisive, to be, to have drive. I was so disconnected from that side of myself that, and I don't blame my mum necessarily, because she just raised me as she would anyone. It's the male, the father, that kind of takes the man and introduces him to this side of himself. But I was so comforted by my mother, I didn't even need to have the drive ever. When I did ever engage in this drive, I always did it in a form of repressed fantasy. And if anything, anytime I engaged with this aspect of myself, the drive energy, this aggression, this goal orientation, this focus, it was always done as a shadow function, right? It was done, I didn't intend to use it ever. I never wanted to be aggressive. It was kind of like forced upon me. Let's say like a deadline. I was always a procrastinator, and the reason was because I wasn't using the drive. I wasn't actually engaged in the goal orientation in my life. So when the deadlines would start to creep up and time would come for the application to be made, or whatever, the submission of the essay, or whatever the problem was, I would have to, like, as a defense mechanism now, use the aggression to get the job done, because obviously if I don't get the job done, then, you know, things are going to go bad, they're going to go south, I'm not going to get my application on time or whatever. So it'd be done as a last resort. But then the times when I ever use this aggression consciously, this goal orientation, this focus, it turned out to, and when I did it voluntarily, it became plans, it became goals, it became structure, it became tactical, it became strategic, right? It was this long, burned out focus over time. And that's how you get your work done. Like, you don't get your work done if you don't have that approach to things, to life. As men, we are warriors. Like, all men, whether you're a fighter or you're not, you're a warrior. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do boxing or martial arts to have this initiation of yourself, although it definitely can help, because you need to be aggressive in order to win these things. I like jiu-jitsu more for the reasons why I'm speaking. I think jiu-jitsu should be a mandatory thing actually for every man. Boxing's a little bit here and there. I think boxing should be mandatory as well, but you're getting punched in the face, so I don't think that's everyone's cup of tea. It's definitely, I mean, it's my cup of tea now. I don't care about it too much now. Like when I first started, I did. But jiu-jitsu definitely, because jiu-jitsu just teaches you, man, how you deal with a difficult situation and how to be tactical and focused in a situation where shit's hitting the fan, you don't know what to do. It's a very, very beautiful art, and yeah, I do recommend everyone do that. But that's besides the point. I'm trying to say that you don't necessarily need to have a physicality exposure. You don't need to physically expose this warrior energy that I'm speaking about. What you need is you need to access it. Access it. Once you've got access to it, and the way you get access to it is by seeing that it's already there, right? Like it's already in you. You already have it. It's already there. It's something that you already have possession of. You've just hidden it away from yourself. You're not allowing yourself to use it. You've denied yourself stupid kiss. You've denied yourself the usage of it. And what it is that you want to do now is re-engage this part of yourself. So pay attention. Jordan Peterson says this. He gives an exercise. Jordan Peterson says, pay attention to your resentments. Pay attention to your angers. Pay attention to your hatred. Pay attention to your vengefulness and your bitterness. Pay attention to the aspects of you that are very discontented with life. Because here's the thing, that is the drive. That is the drive. That is the aggression, the masculine aspect of you. But you've denied it, you've repressed it, you've hidden it away from you. So now it comes out in this slithery, slimy form. And this is why people who tend to be the most repressed, or the nice guys or nice women out there, they tend to become villains, because when they actually realize that they have this power, this aggression inside of them, that this is there and it always has been there, but they were denied it because of their social conditioning or whatever, trauma or whatever, what have you, then they tend to go real south with it. They tend to use it for evil because they associate it with evil. It's weird, because to conclude that whole little tangent I was making, the reason why they become villains is because they were denied their power by social conditioning, because social conditioning told them that it was evil. So when they started using it, they thought it was evil. So they associated it with evil, as opposed to associating it and using it for good. Because that same drive, that same energy, that same warrior focused energy, passion, dedication, determination, it can still be used for good. I will think about what's his name? I think about Ted Bundy. Weird comparison, I know, but listen, the man had a lot of drive and determination to get the job done, right? Whatever he did a lot of sick things, very sick things, horrible things, and the man got exactly what he deserved. He got the electric chair. I'm very happy that finally the justice system actually did something good in this circumstance. But here's the thing, right? All that drive and that determination that he put into that activity that he did, he could have put that into something else. He could have put that into becoming a lawyer, which is what he initially wanted to do anyway. He could have put that into actually having a normal romantic relationship with a lady. He could have put that into building society, or building something that he wanted to see manifest in reality. But the problem is his shadow was so strong, and I reckon it was denied as well. I'll have to read up on him and find out a little bit more as to why he did the things he did. But he definitely had a shadow, and he definitely probably repressed it for many, many years until it started to dominate. And then he did it in secret. All of these things were done in secret. He studied the police. I mean, I reckon he could have been a really good detective as well, considering he was very methodical. He was very, very methodical in his work, and very tactical. He would have made, I reckon, a good copper. I reckon he would have made a really, really good copper. Actually, good old Ted Bundy, if he put that drive to serve people as opposed to do evil. Because he could, he had that ability. He had the ability to see what evil was and then maybe defend against it. But he gave into his dark side because of resentment. So you're the same. I'm not saying you're the same as Ted Bundy, but you are the same in the respect that you have a shadow, and that if you don't engage in this, if you don't engage and voluntarily take this shadow into your own midst, if you don't take it into your own, if you don't make ownership of it, what will happen is it's going to start taking ownership of you. And it's going to do it in a very ugly way. It will start to have its way with you. You know, and it starts to make me think a little bit about Cain in the Bible, and how when he has that little sit down with God and he says, you know, why am I not accepted? And God says, if only you did the right thing, you would be accepted. I've had this conversation myself with God, by the way, because I've been Cain. And, you know, I probably still am a little bit of Cain, to be honest. This resentful, vengeful, bitter, and on the verge of becoming a evil person. You know, what's an evil person? Oh, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get mine. You know, I'm going to get mine. I have been denied. So any moment of evil that I can score, I will. Any moment, because it's a power trip, isn't it? Any moment of evil that I can score, any moment of you know, getting that little trip of power from doing evil acts, I'm gonna get. And that will lead to hell, by the way, because you start small with that. You know, it's a bit like that guy in the Notes from the Underground. That's him, right? That's exactly what he is. He's someone who just, he's so miserable with his life, so resentful, so vengeful with his life. Any moment that he can score of evil, he gets. He will take it. He's just so evil. And what's funny is, again, is if he realized or took advantage of his shadow, he would find himself, if he put that passion and drive into something, as opposed to letting life decide where he's going to go, which is, by the way, the path that I'm unfortunately falling myself into, and I'm very aware of it, but at the same time, it's something that I really desperately want to change. The work has to come from, you know, you put that drive into something that's actually going to make your life meaningful and useful. And he could have done that, the guy from the Notes from the Underground. He could have done that very well. But what happened was he denied the shadow took possession of him, and it ended up destroying his life. And I don't want to be that guy, and I certainly don't want you to be that guy as well. So pay attention to your hate, because that is your aggression. You've just denied it. And you know, again, those school shooters, those criminals, what do? They repress that part of themselves so much, to the point where when they then engage in it, it's done in a shadow form. It's done against society, it's done against the law, it's done against convention, it's done against, you know what, it's not even against convention, it's more against people. It becomes evil. It's not benevolent anymore, when it could be benevolent. That power, that strength, that drive, it could be benevolent. But if you don't use it, you don't lose it, man. It just starts to take possession of you. So anyway, listen to what I've said, and write down in the comment section below what you think about it, and tell me about your stories as well, and what you have in mind in terms of your personal transformation.